So I want to make a video of the demo that I showed in class the other day of how to build the frame for the insides of these and the end caps. So I'm going to start off here with my tube with my fibers on it, and I'm going to append in a cylinder. So I'm here in my subtool palette, so I'm going to go to append and just get the cylinder 3D, and I'm going to switch to we'll turn off symmetry and select the cylinder and switch to my move tool, and with it still there in the middle. Actually, let me switch that to a scale. Let's come around to the side here, and just going to scale it down till it fits right inside the inside of this thing. Yeah, that looks fine. And if I need to, I'll scale it out or in, depending. So notice that when I do that, let's get around here to the side and turn on transparency, that it scaled it down on that side as well. So I'm going to switch the direction of my scale tool, and then switch to the move tool and grab this outer point, hold shift, and scale it out till it kind of pulls out just a little past the end opening there. And you can see this thing, PM3D, it's already a polymesh 3D, so I don't have to do any of that to it. But I do want to subdivide it. So let's Control D, turn on polyframe here, and Control D it a couple of times to get it polyframe, or to sub D it. And at some point, eventually, I'm going to dynamesh it. So, yeah, this really isn't going to matter. I just want this for when I do when I draw the curved tubes. So I'm going to switch back to draw mode, bring up my brush menu, and pick the curve tube brush, and let's solo this thing. So you can see with that brush, if I draw, let's escape out of that and Control Z to delete the stroke. Let's go ahead and delete the lower on that. You can see when I draw that, I get a tube that is drawn with it. And if I have my symmetry on, so let's bring up our menu. I'm going to turn on radial symmetry, looking down the Z-axis for mine. Yours may be different. Turn on radial, and then my radial count, I'm going to use 6. You can 4, 8. I wouldn't go over 8 for the frame. And then your brush size controls the diameter of the tube that you make. So if I'm here on the side and I draw out a tube, see, I get, it's based on my brush size. So let me undo that. I'm going to take my brush size down. I think around 22 should probably do it. And you want to start your strokes a little more than halfway there, and then draw those out. And you can see it's a little difficult to keep them perfectly straight, so there are some things you can do to help with that. So I'm going to come up to stroke, and I'm going to come down to lazy mouse, and I'm going to turn that on, and my lazy step I'm going to bump up a bit, probably not that much. And then down here in the curve, I'm going to turn my curve step to 2. So now when I draw, you see as I click and move the mouse in the direction I want to go, I get that trailer line there, and it won't really start drawing until it hits that length. So it's really very easy to get a relatively straight line. So let me undo that and get it back. I know I want to, a little bit past halfway here, and I think I can do a little bit better job of keeping it aligned along there. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but it'll be pretty close. And then just a little bit out past the end of it and let go. So yeah, those look pretty nice, actually. Yeah, and then let's see, let me turn my floor off. I'll rotate around so I'm looking at one of the top ones. Yeah, this one like that, or that side one that I drew. And I want to grab this and pull it up. But you see, if I start doing that, it kind of starts to pull things around, and things could get all out of whack fairly quickly. So let's undo that. To help with that, I'm going to again go back up to stroke, and under the curve here, I'm going to lock the start and lock the end. And that way, I could grab these and move them, and the ends don't go anywhere. But the nice thing about it is you can actually then go and grab the end and move it, but nothing else moves with it. So I'm going to pull these in quite a bit, and then pull them out to get them to kind of level out where I want, so that they're pointed roughly parallel to the bulk of them. And if if you need some adjustments, you can do that. So if you want further adjustments on those, something to keep in mind is that is the stroke size. You notice as I mouse over, the cursor turns to blue, and that's for adjusting the curve, the stroke. But if I mouse out, that's my draw stroke, and if I increase it, say something like this, and I click on it, you see it's going to update those. So what you'll want to do, and I'll need to take this back down to 22 or thereabouts, and click on it again, and that should do that. So it looks like it kind of changed things around. Let's see if I can undo that. Yeah, so now things look kind of back to normal. But understand the difference with your cursors. If you want to change, if you need a bit broader selection on these, put your cursor over it till you see the blue cursor, then press the S key to get the draw size, and then you can broaden that, and now you can make very broad changes to things if you need to. I find that tends to work a little bit better than all those kind of little picky changes. All right, so this thing is actually, I think, looking pretty good. So let's separate it out. Right now it's a I've got two different polygroups on this, but it's all one subtool. So I suppose I could come in and and hide things. See if I can hide there. Get those and then delete that. But I want both, but I want them as separate subtools. So let me undo that and that. So we're just going to come down to my subtool palette, go to split, and press group split and say OK. And that separates them out. So I should have and I've got solo mode on, so be sure to turn that off. And let's go up and hide some of these other parts here that I'm not going to need right away. Excuse me. So you could tell that these things are probably a bit big here. They're pressing out to the outside of those. They're pretty darn close, so I may not need to do too much to these things. Let's go ahead and mirror them first. Mirror and weld. So switch back to them, and I'm going to come to my geometry, modified topology, mirror and weld, and this needs to be in Z since I'm looking down the Z axis on these. So press that, and you may need to make sure that you're facing that. And oh, I was so close. But not a big deal. It may just be a matter of just moving these guys just a little bit, because really they're probably poking out way past where they need to be anyway. So in fact, let's go ahead and adjust that. So let me bring back some of these things so I can kind of see where things need to be. Yeah, and let's go to, make sure I've got that selection selected, go to transparent mode. And really all I need to do is move these things. So I'm going to bring up my move tool, draw out a horizontal move line, and let's hold shift and move those in. Let's see, I'm going to guess the caps are going to come in probably to about right there. Oh yeah, that's plenty past where they need to be. And let's hide those guys. And whoop. Let's switch back to that so I don't do anything weird with the move tool. And now I should be able to mirror and weld. There we go. Yeah, and they look good. Let's do Shift F, turn the polyframe off. So yeah, looking good there. And if they're a little bit faster, you could try sub-D'ing them, but you're going to run the count up again. But you could also do, under the BPR settings, you could do the smoothing, so they will look perfectly polished. And I'm not going to worry about these pointy ends. They're all going to be hidden under the caps anyway. So let's go ahead and get started on the caps. So let me take off, turn off transparency, and let's unhide some of these other parts. And kind of see how things are looking. Let's see, oops, actually won't need that one until a little bit later. Yeah, that's all looking good. Oh yeah, these things are still kind of, they still may be pushing out of that cylinder. Yep, they are. So let's take a look at those. I shouldn't have to pull them in too much. Let's just come down to deformation, and let's go down to scale. Or size rather, and see, I don't need to change the Z size, I just need the XY size to change, and just draw those in a little bit so they're, yeah, just kind of bumped up against the inside of that thing. Yeah, that looks fine. Make sure they're okay on the other end. Yep. And then let's come back and let's unhide this one, and yeah, go ahead and select it and clear its mask. And I'm going to, since both these are showing as poly paint, or yeah, they haven't been MRGB flooded yet. So I could switch to MRGB, do color fill. You can also do the Z plugin, Subtool Master, and fill. And it'll ask whether you want to fill color, material, or both. And you can do, I'm going to do color and material and say okay, and that, yeah, gets them all. So now I could change all those materials later if I wanted, without having to worry about it changing any of the other subtools. All right, so let's make some caps out of that thing. I'm going to hide. So I'm going to hide the tube. Keep my frame there, and this piece that I'm going to use to make the cap. And since it's already nice and round, go ahead, and it actually might be a bit too round, so I may want to do some Dynamesh trimming with that. So we'll come down to Dynamesh. Let's just turn it on at the default settings and see what we get. Let's turn on polish, Dynamesh. It's probably a bit coarse. Yeah, that's way too coarse. Let's try 256. Let's see what we get. Yeah, that still might be too coarse. Let's try. And again, I don't need to work on that whole thing. So let's get the clip curve brush, since that's what I'm going to be using the most of, and let's just kind of lop it off right there. And now try Dynameshing it. Oop, at 256. Still a bit coarse, so let's go to 512. Or you could go somewhere in between. Oh, and let's turn off project, because I don't want to get those facets on, and I may want to turn the blur up a little bit too. Yeah, and so if they still are blur, if they're still like that, and the nice thing about having radial symmetry on is that I can up the count. So let's take that to say 24, and now let's go ahead and switch back to just a standard, just in case. Hold shift. Oh, I'm running out of time here, so I'll pick this up in the next video.